The president of the National Taxpayers Union says the wealthy are now paying more than their fair share in taxes, due in part to the changes in the 2017 Trump Tax Reform Act. Here's One America's John Hines with more from Washington.
Pete Sepp, you are the president of the National Taxpayers Union and the NTU Foundation. Tax day is upon us. People are used to paying their taxes and filing their taxes by April 15th. But I believe, if I recall correctly, that Tax Freedom Day, the day on which Americans stop working to pay for the costs of running the government, is still a little ways off. Is that accurate? And what is the difference between Tax Day, April 15th, and Tax Freedom Day, sir?
Well, tax day, or the federal income tax filing deadline, is normally April 15th. Sometimes it moves ahead a few days, like this year. It'll be the 18th, owing to the way the day falls. Tax Freedom Day is the day on which an average citizen stops paying taxes to work just for the government and starts earning money for themselves. And this is a federal, state, and local calculation. The last estimate conducted was for April the 16th. That was in 2019. I would bet that it's probably a few days later now, and certainly if you were to include all the deficit spending that's been going on since 2019, and after all, deficits are nothing more than deferred taxes on someone else, we'd be looking at a Tax Freedom Day well into the month of May.
You, I think, put out a report recently, and it's available on your website. It's Who Pays Income Taxes? And in it, I think you make the case, data shows that the top 1% of earners with incomes over $540,000 paid over 40% of all income taxes. And you also say the top 10% of earners bore responsibility for over 71% of all income taxes paid, and the top 25% paid 87% of all income taxes. Now, we've heard the Biden administration, Joe Biden, say things like he wants to make sure the wealthy pay their fair share. Is it accurate then to say that maybe the wealthy are paying their fair share and then some, perhaps?
It may not be accurate depending on how you look at it, because if you're in favor of a system that's proportional, in other words, as your money share goes up, so does your tax burden share. Well, actually, the wealthy are pulling a greater share of the tax load relative to their income than anybody else. You cited, for example, top 1% of income earners are paying 40% of the tax load. Well, how much total income do they account for? Only 20%. So they're getting twice as much tax burden relative to their income.
So taking these comments by Bernie Sanders and maybe Joe Biden and others who say that the income tax code is not progressive enough is simply not accurate. Is that what you're saying?
I don't believe it's accurate at all. And they like to play games with numbers by saying, well, if we only focus on income taxes, we're not getting the full picture. Again, the data show a progressive system even when you count other types of federal taxes like excises and payroll taxes. If you combine all of those together, the Congressional Budget Office has done an analysis and has said it's still a huge disparity between the top fifth of households, even the top 1%, and the bottom fifth. The top 1% pays more than a 30% effective tax rate. The bottom fifth, they can actually pay a negative tax rate because of all the refundable credit programs out there.
A large part of that is probably due to the Trump tax cuts then. Is that fairly accurate to say?
The Trump tax cuts certainly helped to increase the progressivity of the tax system, at least among the wealthiest of Americans. They're earning a little bit more, but they're paying even more in tax, and their share of the tax burden is getting heavier, not lighter.
Very good. Pete Sepp, president of the National Taxpayers Union and the NTU Foundation, talking about paying taxes just ahead of tax day here, or on tax day. And Pete Sepp, thank you for joining us on
My
One America
pleasure.
News.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.